You're listening to the Dre Area Sports Show, live on YouTube and X. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
But the one guy I want to ask you about is somebody that you've been talking a lot about. And that is none other than John Franklin Myers. You've been talking a lot about him. And also Matt Barrows made the comment saying that, the Niners are going to be they're going to be in on, I shouldn't say all in on John Franklin Myers. When we look at his numbers, his PFF score is 61.3 as an interior defensive lineman. He also had 39 pressures last season. When you compare that to the guys we had there, in fact, here, let's do this. I'm just going to go ahead and share this tab so you can see it. So there's his numbers right there. 39 pressures, played 516 snaps, 61.3 grade. Okay, pretty good. What about Kalia Davis? 39.8.
Sucks.
9 pressures. There's a reason why they didn't tender him a contract, I'll tell you that. What about Jordan Elliott? Well, he has 49.7. Only 15 pressures. I know he's like more of a run stopper. Of a run stopper. Do we still have him, or is he a free agent?
He's a free agent. And I'm pretty sure like 10 of those pressures came in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, when everybody was getting pressure, when Nick Bosa was around. And lastly, CJ West, 39.7. He had 9 pressures. A rookie. Still got a lot to go. I didn't look up Alfred Collins. I don't know why.
He also didn't play for like a month and a half in the middle of the year.
Yeah,
he's
he
inactive.
didn't.
It was crazy.
Well, because also too, he broke
his hand.
His thumb. Yeah. And so that slowed him down. Once the club was gone, we saw much more production out of him as well. With that being said, talk to us about John Franklin Myers. What is it about him that you see as a positive producer for San Francisco if they were to go out and get him?
Yeah, San Francisco has been trying to find a replacement for DeForest Buckner for a really long time. You can go back to 2020 and Javon Kinlaw. You can even go to Javon Hargrave a couple years later, and they were both disasters for a variety of different reasons, mainly due to health, but also lack of production. They've now kind of turned trying to find multiple guys that can make up that production, whether it's against the run or against the pass, and Alfred Collins, Micah Williams, and CJ West. But in a perfect world, and one that actually could exist for San Francisco in free agency, you can plug John Franklin Myers next to Alfred Collins in your starting lineup alongside Nick Bosa and Micah Williams on base downs, and you can get to the quarterback. You can stop the run. According to Pro Football Focus, the last 2 seasons, he's had at least 8 sacks and 43 pressures. Now, of course, PFF isn't the perfect database, but it is a good guideline to how good players can be. And I think it's more important to point this next stat out is that he is one of 3 defensive tackles in the last 2 years to have at least 8 sacks and 39 pressures.
That's great.
This dude gets to the quarterback. He brings down the quarterback. He'll open things up for Nick Bosa, for Michael. And really, when you think about getting excited with the 5-man fronts that Raheem brings or sliding Michael inside, if you have Bryce Huff, Micah Williams, John Franklin Myers, and Nick Bosa as your third down kind of pin your ears back and get the quarterback formation, that's phenomenal. Because 1, you have Michael taking up double teams. 2, you have Bosa requiring double teams, and you're letting John Franklin Myers and Bryce Huff get home with speed and power that those 2 guys possess. He's long, he's lengthy, shouldn't cost you too much money. He's been everywhere. I think he was with the Rams when Raheem Morris was the defensive coordinator with the Jets under Robert Saleh, I believe, and now with the Broncos last year. So he can do a lot of things for you. He can play on base downs. He can play on third downs. And he's someone that San Francisco desperately needs to get. And I think, the one thing San Francisco needs to do this offseason before the draft is, can we find starting caliber players for maybe 2 of the holes we have? You mentioned Mike Evans. I'm saying John Franklin Myers. He's the one big name free agent guy to go out there and pay for because it's a need. You can give him a 3-year contract for $30 million or something like that. And again, there's a lengthy track record behind him to be successful getting to the quarterback. And, if you can fill defensive tackle, it doesn't become a big need in round 1 and 2. If you can fill wide receiver, it doesn't become that big of a need round 1 and 2, and it makes your life a lot easier. You can fill safety, you can fill edge, you can fill the offensive line. It just makes the draft day process so much more streamlined for San Francisco. So I'd be, unlike Matt Barrows, all in on John Franklin Myers this offseason, unless, again, the price tag is like $20 million per year, which it should not be by any means.
Yeah, no, I think he'd be an extremely productive player for the Niners. I think he'd fit in just great. The guy's 6'4", 288 pounds, only 29 years old. I think he'd fit in just perfectly there on the interior next to Alfred Collins. Makes CJ West more of a rotational piece if you're trying to focus more on run stopping. Now, we know we're going to get Nick Bosa back. We know we're going to get Mike Kell back. I'm still not sold on them bringing back Bryce Huff. I mean, look, if they brought him back, would I be upset? Absolutely not. I'd be like, cool, Bryce Huff. But I just get the feeling the Niners can't help themselves, that they're going to look for a defensive line free agent. And, of course, that always comes back for me. It comes back to Trey Hendrickson. You know how much they covet Trey Hendrickson. They love this guy. They love his work ethic. If you brought in a guy like Trey Hendrickson, I don't know if you can bring in a guy like John Franklin Myers on the same free agent market. You know, trying to afford both those guys would be a lot. But I think if you don't get a guy like Crosby, which I don't think they should, or like Trey Hendrickson, who at this point you wouldn't lose anything. You're just paying him. You wouldn't have to lose compensation picks because they didn't franchise him, the Bengals. They had a chance to trade him to get something in return. They didn't. They totally fumbled the return on Trey Hendrickson.
He also got hurt too.
Yeah, but before last year, he had back-to-back 17-sack seasons. That's hard to do. And the guy is just a monster. And so, look, if they were to go out and make him an offer, 2-year deal, 3-year deal, and he takes it, I think that's great. The other guy everyone's talking about is Alec Pierce. For me, I think that to get a guy like Alec Pierce, you're overpricing yourself. I think he's too expensive. And I'm sorry, I just think he's a little unproven. He's a good player. Last year was his best year. But to me, that's not a guy I look at and say, hey, I'm going to give that guy $30 million a year to come here and catch balls from Brock Purdy. He will stretch the field. But what do you think about Alec Pierce? Do you think that's a guy the Niners should invest money into?
Oh, I think Alec Pierce is phenomenal. I just don't think that spending $30 million on a receiver with this receiving draft class that is stacked with starting caliber talent all the way throughout, rounds 1, 2, 3, and maybe even 4, depending on who falls. It's not something I would advise a team to do. Now, someone will do it, whether it's the Colts or who knows who else will pay for him. But, this isn't like, I think the Niners, and this is probably not a great comparison, but the Niners would like Ricky Pearsall to be Alec Pierce. Like that would be the hope. And they're different in some regards, but like they're both good separators, route runners, have a good catch radius or steady hands. Like you can realistically think that if the Niners get an X-wide receiver, whether it's Denzel Boston, Omar Cooper, Mike Evans, that if they can open things up and he can stay healthy, Pearsall can have a productive season like we've seen from Pierce and with the Colts the last couple of seasons. That said, no, I don't think San Francisco should involve themselves in a bidding war for a wide receiver that's going to get upwards of $25 million a year after signing Deebo Samuel for upwards of $25 million a year and it not working out, and doing the same thing with Brandon Ayuk and it not working out, and choosing not to sign Jawan Jennings for $18 million a year last offseason. They need to get younger and cheaper at wide receiver.
Yeah. Because
you're paying Brock Purdy, you're paying Chris McCaffrey. Now you have to once again pay Trent Williams. You're paying Colton McKivitz now for the next 2 seasons. Like you have to find a way to get younger. You just do. But man. I really just don't believe that the Niners should involve themselves with Alec Pierce, knowing the market and there being 20 plus teams involved trying to get him.
You're listening to the Dre Area Sports Show, live on YouTube and X. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.